So we've already had 2 races in 2022 and it's safe to say things aren't looking too great for McLaren. As compared to 2021, they're probably the car that's been most disappointing this year, other than Latifi's Williams, though that one's a little less surprising. But in the case of McLaren, it's a surprise. Since 2017, the team's been on the rise in terms of both relative pace and scoring points. With 30 in 2017, 62 in 2018, 145 in 19, 202 in a short in 2020, and then 275 points in 2021. And that seems like a pretty good run, right? So why in 2022 has it all just kind of gone wrong? Hey guys, it's Taran and welcome to the On Track channel and to today's video. Before we get going, do make sure to give a thumbs up if you enjoy and subscribe down below for more F1 content every week. With a variety of videos, I'm sure there's something you'll enjoy. Now with that out of the way, let's get into the video and why are McLaren struggling in 2022. So 2 races into the year and the team have a grand total of 6 points, courtesy of Lando Norris' 7th place finish in Saudi Arabia. And even for those, the team needed a bit of luck, with 2 drivers in Mick Schumacher and Yuki Tsunoda not starting, along with retirements for Alonso and Bottas, and then unfortunate strategies for Magnussen and Hamilton. And while yes, it's still early, I get that, if you take the arguably optimistic 3-point average across 23 races, you get 69 points. Nice, but not where they'd hoped to be. Especially compared to last year, where after 2 rounds, the team had 41 points and a podium finish by this point. Not to mention how later in the year they grabbed 4 more podiums, one of them being a 1-2 with the win at Monza. And in terms of the pace of the car, they were for sure the 3rd best at a number of tracks, and if they weren't 3rd, they were most likely 4th. Compare that to this year, and at least during the early rounds, the team is 8th at best, ahead of the Williams and Team Stroll. But when you look at the organisation as a whole, the team performance just doesn't make sense. You know, you've got the big boss Zach Brown, who's done a great job building up the brand, bringing in enough sponsorship money to make LeBron jealous. Then there's Andreas Seidel, a competent team principal with previous success and experience who's been at the team for a number of years. And finally, a pair of good drivers, even if one of them has been a little off the pace for the past 12 months, and that's putting it nicely. But if it's not all those things, well then that leaves the car, which after the regulation changes this year looks to have all the pace of a sloth that's been crossbred with a snail. Take Bahrain for example. In qualifying, Lando could only manage P13 while Ricciardo was out in Q1 in 18th place, only managing to beat Latifi and Stroll. And then once it was race day, things only got worse as the highest either driver ran at any point was P12, and that was only because they hadn't stopped yet. In reality, they spent most of the time keeping Nicholas Latifi and Nico Hülkenberg company at the back. But that's one race, and next up was a track which the team claimed would help, as Jeddah has a lot of high-speed corners. And to a certain extent, yeah, it did help, with both cars through to Q2, Norris in 11th and Ricciardo in 12th. And during the race, the pace of the car had them running around 11th to 13th. That was before Daniel Ricciardo's engine decided it was a 2017 Renault. But if I had to place the car somewhere on pace in Jeddah, it's probably about 7th, maybe 6th at the very best. So when you've got a car that's around 8th or 9th at tracks that don't suit it, and only 6th or 7th at tracks that do, it's concerning. And if the relative pace stays the same all year, it will have undone about the last 4 years of progress. But what exactly is wrong with the car? Well, when asked about it, Lando Norris said it's a pretty simple problem: a lack of downforce. Now, I'm no technical expert, but that seems kinda, important. You can split car performance into a couple of categories, and downforce is, well, pretty critical. And to me, the fact it's a case of the car just being slow is where the real concern is. When looking to other teams that have struggled a bit, the problems are a little more specific. Take Mercedes for example. The big issue is the porpoising, their car goes up and down more than crypto. But behind that, the car supposedly isn't terrible. Or at least that's what people who know more than me say. And to a lesser extent, look at Red Bull, who have a top car but faced issues in Bahrain with their fuel system, and while causing the problems that race, look to be fixed by the next. Whereas with McLaren, it's a lot more fundamental than both of those, and the question is, can the team bounce back from here, and if so, how long will it take? Well, I hate to break it to you McLaren fans, people aren't sounding crazily optimistic. I mean, just take Lando's response after Saudi Arabia. While there were some positives, the general outlook was that the team needed months, not weeks, to turn it around. And even then, he said how they could also go down the order from where they were, as it seemed for Lando, after the race, the only thing worse than the team's predicament was the over-the-top use of fireworks.
We had a much better, not more fireworks, please.
And if Lando's not overly positive on the situation, don't even get me started on Danny Ric's little retirement joke. But honestly, where do they go from here? Well, they do have more time, that's for sure, as between rounds 2 and 6 there's a weekend off between every race, which not only allows for more developments to come through, but slightly reduces the number of races where they'll be towards the back. That's presuming they'll improve, which they will, right? I mean, if the past few years have shown us anything, it's that they should do. Plus, with the new regulations, the development is so fast to begin with, meaning that hopefully it won't be too long before we see them back up towards the front, or at least making progress. Anyways, that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. Do make sure to give the video a thumbs up if you enjoy, and subscribe down below for more F1 content every week with a variety of videos. I'm sure there's something you'll enjoy. But until next time, take care.